So once again, hello everyone and welcome to Intland Software's Experts Talk webinar. Today's session is titled Using Pharmaceutical ALM for GAMP 5 Compliance. An exciting topic, as you'll see, as we'll be showcasing our brand new template. So my name is Kristóf Horváth and I work with the marketing team here at Intland, and I will be moderating today's webinar. Our expert on today's session is Kálmán Keresztesi, who's the CEO and the owner of Controsys Control Engineering, a Hungarian company with over 20 years of experience in the pharma industry. The company's services include application engineering of process automation systems, distribution of hardware and software automation products, and providing support training and consultancy services for all the represented products. Now, as an expert in pharmaceutical automation, Kálmán was involved in the creation of our new project template for pharmaceutical users, which we'll be showcasing later. And as you will see during this webinar, Intland's new Pharma GAMP 5 template provides a variety of benefits and makes the compliance process smooth and controlled. But first, let's just take a look at today's agenda. Right, so first off, we will give you a short general introduction to the good automated manufacturing practice and all of its requirements. And then we'll talk about using integrated ALM in pharma development and how ALM can help compliance with GAMP, and how our own Codebeamer ALM specifically can handle these processes. Then Kálmán will help you discover Intland's Pharma GAMP 5 template. And finally, we'll showcase the template in practice during the live demonstration. Now, it's important to know that if you have any questions during the course of today's webinar, please just feel free to use the questions box on your GoToWebinar control panel, and we will be reviewing all those questions near the end during a Q&A session. Right, so those familiar with our webinars will already know all these details about Intland Software, so let me just keep this very short. The company is based in Stuttgart, Germany, and we are the sole vendors, the sole developers and the only vendors of Codebeamer ALM, which is the market-leading application lifecycle management platform. Now, we have offices or are represented through our partners in various locations globally, and as you will see, we have customers from all over the world. Now, on this side, you will see some of these customers from various industries, and as you see, several global companies are successfully using Codebeamer ALM, and it is becoming the standard ALM tool for safety-critical development. With the introduction of our new GAMP template today, we will be bringing the same benefits of integrated ALM to pharmaceutical users. Now, as I just said, our safety-critical project templates are widely used to save development time and costs, and to achieve compliance with minimal effort in all those highly regulated development environments, which are basically the development of medical devices, automotive embedded systems, and avionics and airborne products. Intland Software understands the needs of all the companies that operate in these highly regulated industries, and we know just how much effort it takes to comply with all the relevant regulations. And we also know that if we can just save just some of those really high costs of development and of compliance, that's what is going to make both our clients and us successful. Now, as you know, most safety-critical regulations require developers to adhere to some very simple sounding rules, but they're not actually that simple to actually keep. They want the users and the operators of the product to be safe and for the product to satisfy all the requirements that it was created to tackle. Product quality is very important in all these industries, as is the ability to prove the use of high quality and mature processes throughout the course of development. So that's why regulations also call for use of adequate documentation throughout the process of development, and a way to show traceability from specifications all the way down to product release. Now, what projects can be very complex and they can have a lot of differences to projects in other industries, pharma development essentially has to follow the same guidelines. So we know that Codebeamer ALM has all the features and the capabilities needed to develop products in a compliant and mature way, and we also understand that pharma developers could greatly benefit from the reduced development time and costs that Codebeamer can bring. So that's why we partnered up with Controsys to build a project template that is pre-configured for those involved in pharma projects, and which allows them to manage quality product development and manufacturing projects with less effort. As you will see, Intland's Pharma GAMP 5 template helps pharma developers, the suppliers of production devices, and system integrators. And this template can be used out of the box with minimal configuration to develop systems in compliance with the Good Automated Manufacturing Practice version 5. Now, before I hand it over to Kálmán for this expert session today, and before we jump into the details of GAMP, let me ask you a few very simple questions. I promise it's just going to take a minute. Thanks a lot for your answers. And there's one more question I have before we jump into the actual session today. This is for those of you that are actually developing software or heading software projects. And not surprisingly, waterfall seems to be the method of choice. All right, thanks a lot for your answers. Now it's time for us to really start talking about the template. Kálmán, let me make you the presenter.
Hello, everyone. My screen visible? All right. So good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kálmán Keresztesi. I'm an electrical engineer working for decades now in process automation. For more than 20 years, I'm active with my company Controsys, cooperating with our long-term partners like ABB and SCADA vendor Sidect, owned now by Schneider Electric. We are active in pharmaceutical industry. Our clients like Gedeon Richter are in Hungary, and also we have operational sites in Germany and systems installed for more than 15 years, and also started the upgrade last year at Merck Sharp and Domin Island. So the long experience we spent with the regulated industries in the pharma production naturally educates the individuals to learn and follow good practices, to work in an effective and efficient environment if possible, and also to reuse proven tools if there is a chance for that. So the basic requirement for us is to set up a quality system for ourselves first and to maintain it within our company. While we have ambitions towards to our clients, we must be critical first to ourselves and follow the standards and also good practices. So being a business-oriented company, that makes a difference for us. What tools do we use? That's the way we get to Codebeamer also. The reason I'm doing this webinar today here for you is the experience I gained in this area. Several times even wanted to be able to avoid the low efficiency and use better tools in our work, and also to satisfy the common requirements and be compliant in our work. Still found some parts to improve, and this way we got to the Codebeamer solution. First, I would like to say some words about the GAMP. I assume most of you are familiar with that. That's the standard of International Society of Pharmaceutical Engineers. Through the guidance, I will introduce to you also our GAMP template within Codebeamer. The guidance relates computerized systems used in the regulated environments. So, as you see on the slide borrowed from GAMP itself, we may have an idea what areas are covered by the GAMP. One very important aspect is that GAMP covers not only the development period of a project or a computerized system, better to say, but it also offers a complete guidelines also for the operation period of the system. That is, the full life cycle of a production system is covered, from born of the demand to the retirements of the system. During the longer operational period of a automation system, it also enables modifications and changes to make to the system, of course, on a controlled way. The other important aspect is the risk-based. So all levels, GAMP is risk-based, and all of our activities must be risk-based. That enables the users and all contributors to select components, activities, and make only meaningful effort where there is a need for that, and do invest only in meaningful parts, and not to do any work where the outcome is just resulting production of tens of kilograms of paper. Certainly you are familiar with that, without real use, and waste the engineering time and money for meaningless efforts. So the GAMP guide draws together the key principles and practices and describes how they can be applied to determine the extent and the scope of validation for the different types of systems, ensuring the validation is scalable. So on this slide you see the steps we do for satisfy the risk-based concept of GAMP. Scale, the philosophy is to scale all lifecycle activities and associated documentation according to the risk and complexity and the novelty of the application to be created. GAMP also recognizes that most computerized systems today are now based on configurable packages, which allows more or less spare or simplify the validation, not spare, but simplify on the validation effort. And it also acknowledges that the traditional waterfall or linear software models are not always suitable for the actual work we do today. So let's have a look at on the complete life cycle. One of the most important reasons we have selected Codebeamer for this purpose, that it's also an integrated product which covers is able to cover the full life cycle. That is concept phase, the project phase, the operation and retirement phase of a computer-based system. So the companies like mine, which deliver systems to end users, we have a good experience with the two middle phases like project development and operations. We are most active on those phases, but one phase like retirement cannot be neglected either. If you retire part of the system or a whole system, it's not the same to switching off the equipment, disassemble, or remove the measurements, stop computers, and recycle parts which can be reusable, and forget the whole system. So we have to maintain audit trails, history and records, batch records for a given time, as the products or the semi-products material originated from the production line do not end their life cycle together with the outdated system. So even the retirement shall be well designed, and all activities has to be controlled and qualified based on, again, on risk analysis. So let me show now how do we formulate the above model within Codebeamer. For today, to be able to understand this, we have to take the software models, what categories, what are included in GAMP. A lot of computerized systems, or a lot of parts of them only have to be configured today and are ready to use. That's really a target in the today's systems. In that case, user requirement specifications, what the user did based on an initial risk assessment, have to be satisfied by user acceptance tests. That's usually done by the user itself In a more complex structure, when the software has to category 4 contains configurable softwares, more levels of specifications has to be created. And again, this kind of activity is already shared with the supplier, is also a target of GAMP within GAMP 5 to share either the specification activities or the verification activities between the end user and the suppliers. The regulated companies themselves should decide based on required levels of specification and the verification what activities can be shared on what level with the suppliers. The most complex software category is category 5. I have to tell you, in my practice, I always work with systems where we had to create custom software. So category 5, this requires the most complex activities, either from end user and also from the suppliers. So 4 levels of specification and verification is within the model. And as you will see, we implemented all this within Codebeamer. So this involves not only configuration tests for configured software parts, but also functional tests, which are called also operational qualification for parts, and also the user in the end has to create and has to drive performance qualification for the complete system. So now I show you what we have implemented within the Codebeamer template. These categories of software can be included in the GAMP template of Codebeamer. All specifications which you can see here are included, and the levels for verification too. What is not included for multiple reasons is the initial risk assessment. This is left out because some companies make the initial risk assessment differently. Another reason that Codebeamer has other templates in which this kind of work is actually done. So Intland has ready templates with this part of the work. So in our GAMP template, we started with the assumption that the end user has a user requirement specification done, and our activity starts from that step. So the full life cycle can be covered this way by using Codebeamer. The development cycles, as we've seen for different software categories, can be completed in the project stages, and in the operation stage, the changes can be handled. It's also built into the template. So the question now, how can we actually use Codebeamer in practice? First of all, we have to have a Codebeamer platform. It's a simple installation, either a Windows server or a Linux server, or alternatively, you can hire this service from Intland by cloud services, so you don't even have to have your own server. A very simple process to import the Intland Pharma GAMP template, what I will show you right away to you. Takes a minute, and then you can really start to work. You can add your users and populate the work items. You can carry out all the activities which belong to your specification, program development, and testing activities. Of course, if you need, you can customize the template by yourself based on your own rules, and you can add your user roles and customize workflows, whatever you want. The result what you get is the Codebeamer template. On the template you can recognize the different GAMP categories, like user requirement specification or the functional specifications. So all these are called as trackers, and these trackers holds the GAMP model. They represent the main activities to carry out based on the GAMP model, as well as the configuration items on the right side, which holds additional information. Each tracker here contains a certain workflow. Each of them might have a separate, different workflow. different for requirements, for testing, of course, for tasks, change controls, whatever, risk assessment. Trackers are connected to each other in the background. That's also an important information. And this way they can satisfy the relations what we have learned via the GAMP software models. So the user requirement specification can result functional specification, and these lower level specification can reference backwards to the higher level specifications. Similarly, the tests can reference these specifications. Let's now jump to the actual Codebeamer application. If you want to access the Codebeamer, you have to key in the server address, and you need a browser. I use Google Chrome now, but you might use other browsers also. Once you want to access information within Codebeamer, you have to log into the system. You have to have a valid and active user account. This user account is included in the with the Codebeamer licenses, and you can access your projects. First of all, when you log into the system, you may access your personal knowledge base. This is not visible only for yourself. Having multiple projects, your personal wiki pages will be always available for you. You can store practically any information on that that's visible only for yourself. It's important to know that on a Codebeamer server there might exist multiple projects. So you can create as many projects as many you want, and you can operate them as you wish. The projects can be filtered, categorized based on certain relevance for you, and also can be tailored or equipped with attributes for better visibility for yourself. So we enter now to our GAMP template. This is a project. The project, when you open the project, it opens again some knowledge base pages, some wiki pages. These pages are shared between the members of the project. So in the personal wiki pages can be accessed for yourself, and additionally shared pages are available for all members within your project. The project members is assigned by the by the system administrator, and on the left side you see here project roles defined in the project, and here the users. It's very easy to assign certain roles to users. So quality engineer based permissions are now assigned to this user, and this user will be able to carry out functions. He will be able to see information which is related to quality engineer within the database. With the same movement, you can easily withdraw any user roles. So let's go back to the project. On the wiki pages of the Intland GAMP template, we have provided some meaningful information to you for easy referencing, and this information is you recognize from the GAMP guidelines itself. It describes to you how we use the different software and hardware categories, how it's implemented within the system, how the customization within Codebeamer is done, and you can easily reference this at any time you use Codebeamer inside the browser where you work with Codebeamer. Another wiki page is also created to detail the tracker information. As I told you, the trackers are the heart of Codebeamer. It holds all the relational database information what you enter into the system. And for easy referencing, each tracker functionality and the relations to other trackers is included in this description. So you find a very detailed description how to use certain trackers and what they are intended for. So you can use this at any time. Okay, let's go to our trackers. As I told you, here you can recognize the GAMP terminology, user requirement specification, functional specification, software design, and so on. And these trackers as I told you, hold information about certain items, like let's take this software design specification as one example. Here you structure your work as you wish. If you take this in the traditional or classical validation work as one document, then your software design specification document is implemented here. The paragraphs, let's say, or chapters are implemented here with it in individual items. Each individual item has its own content, which is visible on the right side. On the left you see the structure, and on the right side you can also have the database elements, and all elements which are already filled in hold some information. When one item is worked out, then these items get populated and all fields gets their information filled in. Within this page you can already edit the information and add some new or delete some information right away, and you can save it. The same function is also available within Microsoft Word. You click it and Microsoft Word appears, and the same information is transferred. You can add some text and save your work again back to Codebeamer, and it's quite automatic, and right away you have the information. So editing items is easy like this. Here you can see there are different colors of icons. This means that the different items are in different status. So what do they mean? That's the workflow behind the tracker. So there is a workflow diagram accessible for even during use of Codebeamer. So here you can see how the work items for software design specification is worked out. One creates a new item, then by the definition it gets to the draft state, and the assigned user will carry out the work, fills in the information, and internal development people and also QA can review this. The status is defined in a workflow, and also the transitions can be easily customized. So you can go to a customization page where we can see all the transitions listed, all the user roles via these transitions can be operated by. The statuses of the workflow are accessible, and you can easily add a new status to the workflow. So the workflow is customizable, and next to these simple functions like bringing one item from draft to in progress when we are filling in the information, additional functions are hidden in this, like the review procedure embeds another function which is a built-in Codebeamer function to make a review, and this is standard, and it fits to the 21 CFR Part 11 rules. Also because you can authenticate the review information, who can do that or which people can do that, and how can they vote by approving or rejecting, how many positive and negative voting is taking this item from review to the waiting for approval or back by rejecting. It's all configurable in this diagram. Another kind of update can be done within one status. So for instance, while we are in progress, the current user gets written to a database element, to a field implemented by. This way the system will remember always who did the last modification on the content of this element. So it's highly configurable. Next to the workflow, also the permissions are configurable. Who can do by which role, what kind of activities. This is on the vertical line. Also the database fields are fully configurable, and in case of customization required, you can extend it with new fields based on your local requirements. Also the database fields hold certain permissions, who can access the database items even for viewing or to do any action on that. So the package is, I just showed this, the package is fully configurable, and this is the way how we configure the different trackers. All right, documentation is a big part of the validation work. I have to tell you the main activities are happening here within Codebeamer in the trackers. However, Codebeamer has a documents section, and this section is alive. You can structure it as you wish. We usually fill in with documents originating from third-party companies who are not using Codebeamer, or alternatively, we are storing here P&ID diagrams, whatever, which is not directly, cannot be directly processed by Codebeamer. The documents are versioned, and the accessing list, who did access log is also available, who at what time did what with the documents. So everything can be backtracked. Even more, the documents can be linked to a SharePoint server, or so you have complete freedom how you organize your documents. But Codebeamer activities does not result directly documents. So usually we work with the trackers and the activities are carried out here. The document section is just to store results of report or parameters for test protocols and so on. Okay, let's go now and have a look at what can we how can we work with our Codebeamer items. Here we have, I showed you how to edit an item. Here there is one item which is already under review, and we can open this item to check it more detailed. The description is the content of this item. Okay. Next to it, one can comment, or any user can add comments to this item. Of course, we can make reviews on that, and here you can see the results of the reviews and all the history with what was done with this item, who did what, entered what information is also included. Very important part is the relations. What I mentioned to you, that the trackers by themselves holds information, holds their own workflow, database items, but would not have relation. But it's not true. They have relation to other items, and within Codebeamer it's very easy to indicate what items are related to a certain one. Our current item is this jacket control item, and you see here that it has multiple incoming references with other tracker items, and it has also outgoing references. These outgoing references are defined within the jacket control fields, database fields, like which release we will schedule. We scheduled it for, what team is working on that, and one more thing, which functional specification item is the original item based on which we created this item. So, and outgoing relations, the module types, test parameter, test cases, test protocols, and so on. So this can be extended to multiple levels where the already referenced items and their references can be seen. Once we are here, I have to mention the full traceability is possible within Codebeamer. There is a so-called traceability browser available, where you can find the relations between your items, and you can indicate. This is very important for quality assurance, to make sure that certain requirements are satisfied with design documents, and those design documents are realized in programs, in codes, and those codes were released, and the releases were tested. So this kind of traceability is available within Codebeamer. You have to select a root tracker for traceability, and for instance, we can build up our list how we learned from the GAMP software categories. We can add our specifications. On the same level, you may add multiple trackers, and let's see what relations do we discover. So it's visible, some items in the user requirement specification does not have any follower documents, but here the process control part is already has a functional specification related, and this functional specification has a software design specification related. So we can trace our original requirement how it is worked out during the project. So it's not very difficult, but it's also always time-consuming to do one by one adding these tracker items. So instead of doing that, we might have ready the traceability matrix configuration stored, so we can use that. Furthermore, we can select a separate view, not to list all the requirements, but to concentrate only on selected ones. So I've created some setups already, and selecting one, we can make a focused tracing on a certain item. So here, if you remember, we can, I call up again the GAMP software model. Here we have our user requirements specification, the connected functional design specification, and so on. And if you check here, we can see here the very same. So it's really built on the GAMP model, and you can fully trace your specifications, requirements, and finally the software modules. Of course, this is only half of the V model. So on the other side, after the software codes, we have to have our testing. So I show you how to trace the testing now based on your releases. Your project roadmap can be built to include all the design and project development phases. And once you build them, you might have different diagrams, how the work is carried out, how many tasks are for the different teams left, and how many completed. But next to those, you also have Gantt chart for that, like in project management tools. You also have a test coverage browser. This indicates to us for certain parts of the project how much percentage of your work is already tested, how much went through the testing, and how much is not covered yet. So if you open these items, you go from the project to software modules and software test cases. You see who did the test and how much was it successful. You can go to a certain test case and check out the test case itself with test parameters, the defined test steps. Here are the definitions, and also how it was running with 2 test run sessions. Okay. This was one test run. The details can be checked. I'm sorry. The details can be checked. Who did what time, what tests. And furthermore, the system offers you some statistics about the testing, and of course the full test protocol and test report set is available. Here we see there were a couple of past tests, and there was one which failed. So this is the way, based on the GAMP model, how you can fully build your specifications, accept and approved via the workflows and individual workflows, and then for project managers, how you can schedule your work, how you can measure how much is done and not, and how the QA and test group can test the individual requirements and the configured programs against each other. So this way you can satisfy your design. Of course, the Codebeamer application has much more features. I think right now I'm on my time limit, so I'm afraid right now we can't show you more, but there are other webinars which are available, and you can check out these features there. So I think I will give you back the words, Christoph.
Thank you. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
All right, perfect. So thanks a lot, Kálmán, for the webinar. Now it's time for us to take a look at the questions. Kálmán, I'm gonna have to ask for your help because it seems like my control panel is not working at the moment, but I don't see any questions on my GoToWebinar smartphone app. Can you see any questions? And also, this goes out to our audience. If you have any questions about anything that you heard about now, feel free to either type them in the questions box right now, or you can always email us any questions that you might have, and we'll do our best to respond as soon as possible. Also, one important thing about today's webinar is that there will be a recording available on our website. So if you feel like you need to watch it again, you can just come to intland.com and you will be able to see a recording of today's session. Kálmán, I think it's, we'll just wait for a minute or two more for any questions. See if anything pops up. And then it's probably
I can't see any questions right now.
Yeah, me
there's
neither.
one question, sorry. If someone needs GMP, is that the same as GAMP 5? GMP, no, GAMP 5 is a set of rules via which you can develop GXP projects or GXP related projects. So GAMP tells you the rules to follow to create GXP based systems. So it's not exactly the same. There are separate GMP rules defined, but they are in close relation to each other. But GAMP 5 is not the same. GAMP 5 can be downloaded from the ISPE site, so you can find the document on the on the website of International Society of Pharmaceutical Engineering. I call up to you right now. So on this site, it's available, and you can download from here. Among others, there are quite a lot of documents. Here it's on the main page. Right now, I can't see other questions. Christoph?
Yeah, I think we've had enough time. Once again, please feel free to email us any questions. You could either use the contact form on our website or just email sales@intland.com, and we'll do our best to respond as soon as we can. All right, so thanks everyone for your attention today, and make sure to sign up for our upcoming webinars, and we'll see you next time. Thank you. Goodbye.